Hi everyone, it's Sammy here, and today I've got a new speed build for you. So I wanted to do a speed build of a tiny home. I absolutely love the tiny home movement. I think it's really interesting and quite challenging to make, I think, in The Sims 4. I love the challenge of making things compact and efficient, and trying to squeeze in the day-to-day sort of essentials in the smallest space available. So for this one, I imagined it would be owned by a single sim, a young adult in particular. I think this would be a sim that has moved out of the family home for the first time and is living on their own. I did do it with a female in mind, thinking perhaps she's, decided not to go to university. She saved up a bit of money for a deposit on a home. All she can afford is a tiny home because I think really in this modern world we live in, that's probably quite realistic, which I like. So I have made it towards a sort of younger audience. So here we are starting on the bathroom. I don't know why, but whenever I do a build, I always focus on doing the bathroom out first. No idea why. I think for me, it A gets it out the way because I hate doing bathrooms, but also it gives the house sort of a core anchor, I suppose. So once I've got the bathroom done and decided on a theme, it can kind of work its way throughout the rest of the house. So for this one, I thought quite plain, but with a bit of decoration, again, going towards the young adult theme. When I'm doing tiny homes, I don't tend to put sinks in the bathroom because there isn't any room. So for this one, I'm just relying on the sink in the kitchen, which I think, again, could be quite realistic. But yeah, mainly because I just don't have the room. So that's that. Choosing a wallpaper was quite fun, quite a bit funky, and I wanted to put a bit of a study space as well, focusing again on the sort of more young and fun clutter items there. This is actually my very first speed build that you're watching, in terms of my actual YouTube channel. I spend an awful lot of time um, building houses, building homes. I don't tend to do many community lots, so I'm going to challenge myself in the future to actually do community lots too. I've just generally been interested in the residential lots at the moment. I spend a lot of time creating my Sims, thinking about their personalities, and then I take those personalities and I try and build it into my builds. So I've struggled finding a build that's suitable for the video and that's interesting enough, because when I tried this originally, I didn't have a specific sim in mind. I just went along with it, and I found it really difficult to come up with any ideas that were good enough, really, and interesting. I didn't have a defined floor plan. I just tried to go along with any old theme, anything that I liked, and I didn't center on a specific theme. So I totally scrapped that one, which was a bit disappointing because I don't like not seeing builds through, but it was just not going anywhere. So this one's brand new. I made my sim actually before I made this build so that I could really fine tune what her personality was before I actually built. So the sim that's going to be living in this one, again, she's a young adult. She's quite relaxed in her attire, I think. She's creative, so she's going to be a bit of a painter slash writer, I think. But I didn't go over the top with studio clutter or anything like that because of the lack of space. But really wanted to focus on just having everything crammed into the tiny home. Rugs. I love using rugs to define living spaces in tiny homes. I think that's really important because it just shows total separation of each aspect. In bigger homes, I like rugs as well, but I think in tiny homes it becomes far more necessary and far more interesting. One room in the house that I always love decorating is the kitchen. I think probably because my kitchen at home is so terrible. Recently moved into a really old house, about a year and a half ago, and the kitchen is just an old man's kitchen. We're not going to be able to change it for maybe a couple of years yet because we're renovating everything else. So I just have to put up with it really. So The Sims is my way of designing my ideal kitchen really until I can design my own, which is quite exciting. Finding clutter for the kitchen to suit the Sims personality is always quite interesting for me. I quite like these copper pots that I've chosen for this one. And a bit of decoration too. I like the little armadillo. I think he's really cute. Again, I think this sim is quite fun. Into lots of different decorations and clutter, and just trying to make it a little bit. I think everything just needs to be quite fun to look at when you're a young adult, especially. Um, I imagine she has lots of friends, lots of mementos, little mementos from maybe trips that she's taken away. Yeah. I always have trouble figuring out a roof for a tiny home. I tend to do the curved roof because I think that it just looks a little bit more shack-like. When I see tiny homes in real life, well, I say real life, YouTube real life, right? When I see other tiny homes on TV, they tend to be made out of old trailers, or just converted from other things. So I think the curved roof just looks quite cute. It looks more sort of wagon style, gypsy style. I quite like that, even though that's not really the style I'm going for. I'm going for a more modern style, especially with the glass front there and the glass, um, made a glass balcony, glass railings for the stairs, that kind of thing. I think, again, part of being a young adult sim is having a bit of modern features. So even though there's a bit of tradition in there with the wood paneling outside, a bit of a homemade feel, I think this sim would want to have some sort of, simple luxury because it's her first time out of the family home. So it's not going over the top, but it's just adding that sort of um, adding that bit of extra class that I guess young people are probably used to by now. So it gave her a single bed. I changed up the office area because I thought actually she probably needs somewhere to do her laundry. I thought that would be quite fun to squeeze in. So I just shuffled things around in the kitchen. I did play test this afterwards, and she can get through. So that's fine. And the countertops seem to work okay. So everything is playable. Put a few things on top of the washing machine again, making the most of all the surface space that we have. Moving the little office there upstairs. I love the teen writing desk. I don't think it gets enough mention. I always see massive desks being used, but actually, when you're looking at a tiny home, you don't have the room for that sort of thing. Especially using the new laptops, which I think is great. This is the laptop that came with the latest patch, which I absolutely adore. Um, but yeah, just using the teen writing desk, I think it looks absolutely brilliant, and the style of it is really nice too. It actually goes really well with the chest of drawers that I've chosen a bit later too. Everything kind of matches, whereas actually the rest of the house doesn't really match. So I put in a lot of mismatched curtains, mismatched rugs. So yeah, I love mismatched items. I imagine she goes charity shopping and all of that, just buy stuff that she just likes and doesn't necessarily think about what it goes together. It's quite similar to my own style. I think in my builds I tend to put a bit of my personality as well in, which, I suppose is quite natural. Probably why I don't tend to do a lot of male builds. So again, I think part of my channel is I'm going to be starting to challenge myself and really get to grips with storylines and try and think of who the Sims are when I do my builds. As I said, when I just play it for myself, I do spend a lot of time on my builds, but I know my Sims inside out. So it has been a bit of a challenge to actually include a backstory of a Sim in the build when I don't actually know the Sims yet. So I'm trying to focus on building my Sims first before I actually do any speed builds now. I think that's really important for me personally. I know everybody has their own style and everybody has their own approach to these things, which I think is really exciting. I think that's why I love watching Sims videos so much, especially speed builds. I like to get inspiration from other people and I love seeing how people do things. Um, we don't have to have the assumption that what we do all the time is the right way of doing things. I love broadening my mind and seeing how other people decorate their houses. Um, so yeah, that's everything from me today. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with another speed build probably in the next week or so. I've been a bit busy at the moment, what with the Easter break and all of that, so I'm really trying to get into doing regular videos. Also, my laptop that I'm using keeps running out of space, so I really need to start churning out video after video now. So yeah, so hopefully you'll be back to watch those. So I hope you enjoy this house. I will try and upload it onto the gallery for people to use. Otherwise, I'll have fun moving in my new young adult sim. See you next time. Bye.